everyone, my name's John Allen. I'm super excited to be able to share this video with you. My intention with this video is to help you as coach trainers to review any results that we send to your members and or team. We're going to start with this image that you're currently looking at. I refer to this image as the credit pie. It covers 5 distinct areas. Now, all areas are important. However, I would encourage you as coach trainers to always start with the 2 largest parts that affect your credit profile the most. The first area we'll cover is the payment history. This will affect 35% of what affects your members' credit scores. We will also encourage our members to make all their payments on time. And if for some reason our member misses a current payment of any kind, it really can be devastating to the credit scores. And I'm talking straight out clients losing 80 to 100 points just for having one new 30-day late. So let me rephrase it again. Please encourage the members to pay all their debt on time. It is absolutely essential if we're going to make any progress. If for some reason our member doesn't have any good credit reporting to the bureaus, then we will let them know when it's the best time to get new credit. You will find that on the advice areas on the emails that we send out to your members. Now, the second most important area is called amounts owed. This mostly is referring to the debt to limit ratio on your credit cards.
I just want to make sure that you understand what debt to limit ratio means. In simple terms, it's just a math equation. What we're going to be doing on the first example here is just taking the credit card balance of $300, divide that into the $1,000 limit, and it will come up with a ratio or a percentage. It's called the debt to limit percentage or debt to limit ratio. On the second example, same thing here. We're just taking the balance of $1,000 on this credit card and dividing it into the limit of $5,000. Now we're going to get a 20% debt to limit ratio.
Now, all debt amounts that you're owing or that your members are owing are important. However, the debt that most affects the credit scores are the balances that you have on the credit card profiles. Just imagine if we only worked these 2 areas alone. We would essentially be affecting 65% of what affects the credit scores just with these 2 areas. That's huge. I guess the most common question I get at this point is, where should my balances be at on my credit cards? The answer to that is get them as low as you can get them. $10 will work. A $5 balance will work. $20 balance will work. Just the practical application is to get them as low as you possibly can. Now, some people will also ask, should I pay them off? Well, technically you can pay them off. It's not going to hurt you in the short game, but you always want to continue to use your credit so that in the long game you're acquiring credit history. If for some reason you have members that have credit cards that technically never use them, you're going to need to encourage them to start using them ASAP. They need to have some kind of balance on these credit cards and be in an active, forward-moving process with them. Now, some members may even say, well, John, I pay off my credit cards every single month. How come my scores are not going up? Well, I want you to understand how this process works at the bureau level. For instance, let's just say right now I used my credit card. I swiped my credit card and used it. Now I have a balance. Let's just say I maxed it out. And I wanted to pay it off within 5 minutes of me swiping it. So I swiped it and then I paid it off. So the fact that I swiped it, it will reflect at the bureau level on the credit report within a day or so. If you paid it off, the balance won't reflect in 1 day. it's going to take literally probably 30 and sometimes up to 90 days for it to reflect on the credit report as a paid off debt.
And the third area is called history of credit, or commonly referred to as credit history.
It's only 15% of what affects your credit. However, in the whole scheme of things, it can have a huge impact. It's really the amount of history that you have on your credit cards, not the payment history. So this is more referring to how long have you had an open trade line. So in this regard, the older the better. If you had a 20-year-old credit card, congratulations. If you don't, then start working on that. You know, if you have all baby credit and new credit, well, you need to start it's just a time game. But thank God this isn't the biggest part that affects your credit. The fourth area is technically called new credit. Now, it really is more about inquiries than really how many new accounts you have on your credit profile. It's more about how many inquiries you've had over the last 2 years. So if you have an extraordinary amount of inquiries, or let's just say you have more than 6 a year, it'd probably be wise to start to reduce that. The fifth area is called account diversity. Now, account diversity is essentially this. You only have technically 2 kinds of credit: installment loans and revolving loans or accounts. Now, installment is like a car payment or house loan. You know, eventually you're going to pay it, and it eventually goes away. Now, a revolving account is a credit card essentially, where you can pay it and then use it and then pay it and then use it, and you can just continue to do this process. So essentially, the best credit profile, an ideal credit profile per se, would actually just have maybe 4 credit cards, 3 to 4 credit cards. I mean, if you have 5 or 6, it's not going to hurt you, and if you have 2 or 3, it's not going to hurt you. Ideally, again, this is just, it would be roughly anywhere from 3 to 4 credit cards, revolving accounts, and maybe 2 or 3 installment loans. If you had a mortgage, great, perfect. It's an amazing installment loan. If you had a car payment, that's good enough. A lot of these student loan debts are installment loans as well. They're not revolving accounts. So they'll work as well.
This is an example of what you will see on the emails that you're getting when I finish pulling the results for your clients. So the most important areas to focus on it's going to be down here. It says revolving debt. Then we have revolving credit limits. Then we have revolving credit usage. Now, these are the 3 most important things to focus on in this particular area. The revolving debt is how much debt you're holding on that credit card. So you have a $7,657 balance on a $10,850 limit. In this case, it's 71% debt to limit ratio. Ideally, what would be better than this? Well, 50% is better than this. 30% would be better than 50%. And, 10% is better than 20 or 30%. Ideally, it would be great to have your credit cards paid down to, $10 if possible. And that's an ideal. Now, if you can't get there, then at least try to get there and go in that direction. Now, with that said, you also have a real estate debt area. Now, this is nice to know because simply said, this person doesn't have any real estate. You can tell right away without even having to look at the credit report. But if they did, it's considered an installment loan. Now we have an installment debt. This could be student loans, car debts. It could be mortgage as well. It could be any of that. And we're just glad that they have installment, because you need some installment loans and you need some revolving accounts. This person has both, just needs to pay down their credit cards. Now, if you're looking down in this area here, this area just talks about accounts that were ever late. So in this particular case, we've already fixed this person's credit to a certain extent, and they only have 1 thing left on, 2 things left here on Equifax. Now down below is going to be the inquiry area. Now they have substantial inquiries. Now We do not dispute inquiries within the MAVET process. We have a separate fee and a separate process that you can ask your team leads, and they'll guide you in that direction so that we can help you out with that. Again, remember, it's a separate charge. It's not in the MAVET charges.